you could see Trent hated it with a passion, probably hated him with a passion at the time. But it was competitive, it was real. But they're stubborn. They're also coach-proof, which I love.
What do you mean by that?
So I think my role now is to protect some of the players. Trent's probably a really good example of...
When Trent copped a load of flack in the media, what did you make of that then?
It's interesting this then. So are you saying that the players who we would now associate with the Liverpool Academy, Curtis Jones, Trent Alexander Arnold, when they're 10, 11, 12, 13, are they the ones where you're going, oh, like they're the ones pushing you to your limit?
Absolutely. I've had more run-ins with those players. I've had to have more chewing gum on the side, just sort of like, oh my God, it's driving me mad.
Really?
They're stubborn. They tend to, they're also coach-proof, which I love.
What do you mean by that? That's an intriguing phrase.
I think that there's a respect for coaches, definitely, and they see coaches as someone who can help them, but they're going to do it their way. 100% they're going to do it their way.
Right.
You know, so I think that they will, and I think that they will use you to help and get better, but there's no doubt that you are facilitating their plan.
Because often we think the young player that just listens to everything the coach says and does everything the coach says will be the one that makes it.
Yeah, which is a real flaw, because I certainly don't know everything, and I've not yet met a coach that does. I couldn't tell you now. I could look at under 14s or under 15s. I could not tell you who the next Premier League player is going to be, because I would have got it wrong far too many times in the past. So when at Tottenham, I probably had Harry Kane in the group when he was 13. At that time, he'd have been middle of the group, and at best. You know, to our gold and silver medalists, he wasn't even on the podium. So would not. And then Trent, not number one in his group. Conor Bradley, not number one of that time. Jarrell, not number one. And you could go through all of them. And every now and again, you are going to, you know, I've not encountered it yet, but I guess I saw Bellingham play when he was young, and you could see he was a fantastic player. And, you know, top of the group, and remained top of the group. I guess Rooney would have been someone similar. Michael Owen. But I don't think Stephen was. Stephen got turned down for Lilleshall at 16.
Yeah. So what have they got then that doesn't put them top of the group, but it means they have great careers as pros?
I think it's that obsessiveness, and also I think you can't take away from the fact that, you know, young bodies change.
Yeah.
You know. I think I've listened to the Scott McTominay one, right? So he would have wanted to be a professional footballer. He would have probably had all the attributes needed, but his body wasn't ready. And sometimes, you know, through that growth and maturation stage, somewhere between 12 and 14, you know, it would be so much easier if it was like, right, everyone start at the same time, everyone finish at the same time. But it doesn't work that way. Mm. You know, they all start different times. And I think, you know, I call them the foggy years. You know, sometimes you're best just to sort of like literally put a blind, just forget it. You know, I'll assess again when they're 16, 17, because you cannot tell.
Look, we all know the struggle of deciding what to eat, but what if I told you that Huel can make that decision easier? Their taster bundle has got 8 ready-to-drink bottles, including their black edition, which has got 35 grams of protein, 6 daily A to Z vitamins, 8 complete nutrition bars, 2 hot savoury pots, and a free Huel t-shirt. All you have to do is click the link in the description to unlock your offer now at huel.com/highperformance.
I'd like to explore Trent, if I can. What do you think is the reason why he made it?
Fantastic support from family.
Yeah.
I think tight-knit group around him. So I think he was always surrounded by honesty. Incredible support from home. But very honest support, very grounding, you know, even when he was, you know, won his probably Premier League, Champions League. I know his mum sort of saying, look, you know, tidy trainers away, put them up. You know, it doesn't matter how many medals you got, you're still doing this. And I think that a fearlessness, that it doesn't matter who's watching, no fear of failure. No fear of failure whatsoever.
Did he ever have that?
He'd probably be at a better place to answer, and I don't want to answer that on his behalf, but it never felt like it worried him. And probably the most important ingredient, he is off the scale competitive, which I thought I was competitive as a player, and I thought I was competitive, and I still think I'm competitive now, but there are levels. There are levels. And I think when you meet more of the ex-players, and you talk about Trent or the current, there are, we say we love the ones that hate to lose. And sometimes when they're little, that manifests itself in crying, sort of like falling on the floor and all the things that you
not
think.
Shaking hands with the opposition.
Not shaking hands with the opposition.
All the things you tell your child off for not doing
Absolutely.
are all the things that you actually maybe want to see in someone that might make.
Yeah, and you become more, you sort of like then think, okay, well, they might just need that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't condone it, and you don't want other kids to sort of like follow that. But if it's a natural reaction and you feel you can channel it in a slightly better way, or you trust that just by getting older, you channel it in a slightly different way, then, for me, that would be the common thread of the players that I've worked with is this, there is a real competitive edge to what they do.
And also the players he was with at the academy, I think were probably quite vital, right?
Yeah, I think it's, sometimes I think you've got to be fortunate within a group. So I'm told that, Michael Owen and Steven Gerrard, one made the other one better. Michael run, Steven pass. And Steven probably needed someone to explore his range of passing with. And Michael needed to make runs knowing that the ball had half a chance of getting there. So sometimes you've got to be lucky in that. For Trent, he had a really good sparring partner in a young lad, Dutch lad, called Bobby Adekanye, who's going to have a really good career himself over in Holland and Italy. But Bobby was really, he's really confident in his own ability, really super confident. And he'd every day tell Trent what he was going to do. And you could see Trent hated it with a passion, probably hated him with a passion at the time. But it was competitive, it was real. And I think that's, if you're sparring or if you're rehearsing, then you need that.
Yeah.
So last season when Trent copped a load of flack in the media, what did you make of that then?
I think first off, you become quite defensive. I did. I became quite, I suppose, protective over it. And then like most things, like most criticism, it stings in the beginning, and then at some point, usually takes me sort of 2 days to, okay, is it if it's aimed at me, is there any truth in this? How can I reflect differently? What do I need? So I think some of it was probably, I guess it's an opinion, whether some of it was fair, some of it, a lot of it probably very unfair, but some of it fair. What I was most impressed with was his reaction to it, because it would have been the first time they'd been it's been a fairly seamless ride up until that moment, because won the Premier League, won the Champions League, won the FA Cup, won the Carabao Cup, been to World Cups, for someone of such a young age, that, the curve was only going up. So this would have been the first significant bump in the road that it had in his professional career. And so sometimes you learn more about yourself and you learn more about, how you can deal with adversity when you're faced with those challenges.
And what did you see him do that impressed you so much?
Well, I don't think he hid away. He confronted it head on. And I think in typical Trent fashion, he decided to, and the only way you can put it right is probably on the pitch. And, I thought he adapted to a new position, new role. But I thought he faced up to it. He didn't hide behind excuses. I think he just kept his head down and proved his point with his feet.